If you like talking,
Women.
Ladies,
men,
topic,
Conversations.
and occasional uninformed politics,
multiple talking women is for you.
Hit it! Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Multiple Talking Women. I am your producer, Paula Gherkin.
I'm one of your hosts, Felicity Bramblebush.
And I am the most interesting hostess, Lana Brown. And we are here today with an incredible guest. And I'm not sure if he knows that my platform is skin. This is the best skin. He wins.
He has really
the
good
best
skin
of season one.
True.
It's glowing. It's like he was just born, fully formed man. But just born.
Yeah. Okay.
Well,
I guess
so
we're clapping for that.
welcome, Dave Del Rio. Yes, with the
Thank you.
gorgeous
Del Rio.
skins.
I appreciate
What are you putting
it.
on there? What are you rubbing on your skins?
Makeup artist choice, basically.
Really? So if they've got
I was fully
something-
worked up. I knew I was going to meet you guys today. I know
good.
you kind of have like this high standard, and so I just
Yeah.
I needed to show up today for you guys.
Yeah,
so.
I did tell him that when I
Yeah.
got him to come on. I said, we are on YouTube, which is one of the more, one of the
It's
best
a huge
platforms.
platform.
And I said, please look your best.
So you called a personal makeup artist to come to your home
I
this
did.
morning.
I did. I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to disappoint Paula today. So
No,
I
no.
didn't
Well, that's
wanna do
really
that.
interesting
No, nobody
to us
wants to
because this
disappoint
is
her.
why we
No.
got into the podcast business, actually, is to find out how to get free, or services.
Right.
Free creams and also makeup artists,
Concierge
help.
medical care,
Right.
perhaps.
Right.
Well, we want to go back to the beginning with you because you've been doing this for a long time, even though you're a young guy. I have to
when
say,
did you get it rolling?
Yeah.
17 years I've been in this business.
Okay.
And started in college in New York. But before that, I was in an arts high school in Miami, Florida, where it was like,
Oh.
like fame, where it was more like,
Yeah.
dance-offs instead of fights in the middle of
Supportive
the hallway.
family.
Yeah. Yes, very, very supportive family.
Yikes.
Great.
Basically, they found out I was trying to master sort of hitting my head and make against the door and making it realistic, and they're like, okay, we need to send him to acting camp.
And that's when you
immediately.
use your foot. You make it seem like
That's
you're hitting your
right.
head, but you're
And
hitting your
sometimes
foot.
I went method, and
Whoa.
sometimes I actually really sold the bit. And
That's a little Three Stooges.
Yeah.
Is that an inspiration for you?
I think Jim Carrey really was an inspiration for me.
Mm.
Before that, Jerry Lewis, not as a human, but as the work that he was doing, and Jim Carrey really, I think Liar Liar is still one of the most amazing performances of comedy.
Yes.
And an underrated Me, Myself, and Irene, I think was another great Jim Carrey performance that I emulate a lot and try to capture. So it started with that much of big comedy. And then it wasn't until I was in a play where I was playing this sort of Elvis Presley type of character.
can
And
see
then
it.
my tape.
Bye, Birdie.
That's right. I was Conrad Birdie. And so my teacher was like, you should do sort of research on Elvis. And it was sort of that investigative work that really got me going, okay, this is something that I really want to do. It's just that transfer from homework and really feeling it in your body was just a feeling that I really wanted to chase ever since then. Then 1 year after college, got a job that took me out of New York and moved me to LA. And 17 years later, I'm still working hard on this.
Wow.
So.
Whoa.
That's a pretty rare story, I feel
It
like.
is.
I mean, people have a lot of dark years typically.
Yeah, I think there was
before
about
they-
2 years that was dark there in that
Oh,
17
okay.
years. But
Okay.
I'm always sort of hesitant in kind of saying my story because my story really doesn't happen to a lot of people, and I also say that every story is different. Anyone who writes a book of how to book a role, they can just get out. And,
Right.
Yeah, it's all different.
You got to do it your own way.
Exactly, and I think every story is different. Right role, right time, and it basically the first job I got, I was replacing the kid in the pilot. So here I am thinking every pilot that gets picked up. Obviously,
Did you
Right.
play
Boy,
younger than you actually were?
every job?
Yeah. Yeah.
Every job.
That's
every
that
job.
skin. That's that
What a
gorgeous
gift.
skin.
I was in. I got to play the same role on stage a couple of years apart, and playing 16 when you're 21 is very different playing 16 when you're 26.
Wow.
And so you really feel it in the knees. And so,
Yeah.
but in Matlock, I play a character that's 10 years younger than I am. And so I had to really kind of go back and say, okay, what was the culture when he went to college? What was the culture when he went to high school? And, there's things that I've known about that. And I know how it feels to, I've been around also like a lot of Wall Street bros
Really?
in my life. Yeah, my cousin worked in Wall Street and when I was in college, and it was 2 cousins and 1 brother and myself in an 800 square foot apartment in New York.
Wow.
And we're all from Miami and we slept over each other's houses. So it was like no big deal at
That's
all.
fine.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's family.
But, Billy, my character in Matlock, was one of those characters that would listen to songs like Jay-Z and watch movies like Wolf of Wall Street and have that sort of Gen Z mentality of getting rich quick. And him being a lawyer, I really kind of tapped into that sort of drive that the young kids have right now. And
They do.
Yeah. And so that really kind of revved up my speed and the way that I moved and all that stuff. And so
It helps because he's not jaded yet.
he definitely isn't jaded yet. He hasn't had the life experience yet. He hasn't had the experience of you will see cases won and cases lost throughout the season of Matlock, but it's
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, right. But it's not directed really from him. Like he hasn't had a case where he's lost yet. He's had a case where he's where his team has lost and his team has won, but he hasn't had that feeling of it being
He hasn't
on
suffered
his shoulders.
crushing defeat.
Exactly. And so as an actor, we all know what that crushing defeat is on a day-to-day basis.
These two especially.
Right?
Yeah.
We do, but I
Yeah.
want to circle back
Sure.
just because I love this idea of seeing you in Miami at this arts high school. I mean, was it really fun?
It really was because
I bet it was sweaty.
it
yeah,
was
and
like,
glistening.
yeah, I mean,
Listening.
again, it was you got in by auditioning. You didn't
Right.
get in with your GPA from middle school, or else
Right.
I would not go to high school.
Right.
But
Wait, this is a good question then.
Yeah.
Are you math? No thanks.
surprisingly,
History, science.
surprisingly, I actually was good in math to
Okay.
the point that in sophomore year in high school, they took me into a higher class.
Okay.
And day one, I was like, take me out. I'm good with taking
Yeah,
it
I'm
step
good
by
where I
step.
am.
you
Yeah.
know?
So not
and
not
history and English, obviously, like
Yeah.
English, getting into the books and the classics and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
kind of like that.
It
But
really tapped
but it
into it.
wasn't your forte was performing arts, not so
Absolutely.
much. You were like, I don't care as much about it, all the
Let's
other
just say I
learning.
got straight A's in the arts.
There you go.
Yeah.
And then I was like maybe C- average.
And
Yeah,
did
yeah,
anybody
yeah.
else in your family pursue this? Or are you an outlier?
No, my sister actually was a dancer, singer, and actor. She was a New York Knicks dancer for a little
Oh.
bit.
Wow.
She had done her stint in Law and Order SVU, worked with Kathy and Harry's Law as
Holy
a guest
moly.
star. And she actually was a dancer in the same show that I was in years later called In the Heights. So
Uh-huh.
she
Oh,
was
sure.
she was a dancer in The Heights when Lin-Manuel was Usnavi, and she was already out by the time I got cast as
Wow.
Sonny. And so we never really worked together, but really there's that artistic
It's
endeavor.
clearly
you
in
know?
the family.
And
It's
she's still
in the
she's still in the entertainment industry,
Mhm.
working as a second AD, I believe, in Chicago PD. So she really is staying
Wow.
with the industry, which has
That's
been
cool.
amazing.
Yeah, this is like this family gets work.
Yeah, the family's hard workers. That's for sure. You know,
Wow. I
We
feel
had-
like, was it a very loud household?
I think I was the loud one
You were the
for
loud
sure.
one.
I was the class clown,
Mhm.
and it's definitely a class clown at school as well. You know, and
Mhm.
again, I think what was great about my school was it was called New World School of the Arts in Miami, and I think what was great about it is that they also had festivals for students to write their own plays to get it produced.
Oh, that's
Like
cool.
one-act plays.
Yeah.
And then they also had directing festivals for students to direct plays and musicals. And I got to direct a play called I Love You, You're Perfect, Now Change.
I've heard it.
And it was four actors playing like 40 roles. And that was really something that I really, really loved doing. So it was a wide array of things to do. And I got to play John Merrick and the Elephant Man. Like they really had, pinpointed my passion for the work back then.
Sorry.
It seems like your passion for this comes from a place of joy and natural talent kind of bubbling up from within, or because that's what I'm getting.
Yeah.
Or does it come from a place of like, I'm going to prove myself and everybody told me I couldn't do it?
I've never gotten to a place where I feel like I needed to prove myself.
Yeah, because you already are, I think, naturally.
Well, it comes mentally. I never get myself there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think in the work, it just inherently feels like I do need to prove myself. But I never look in the mirror and say that I needed to prove myself, only because I just need to be. I mean, I say this, but like I'm on set in Matlock and I'm like feeling I'm going to get fired every single day.
Right.
I do
Yeah.
have that
A big
insecure.
deal.
Well, you're up
am
there
I-
with Kathy Bates. It's like Jesus.
that and also like, I think that you're trying to get the showrunner's vision right. You're
Yeah.
trying to
make everyone happy.
and you're trying to not be the reason why people go home late, and so there's that homework that you do really transcends
Wow.
into who I am as an employee first and an actor second. I think that's why I never feel like I have to prove myself, because I know I'm a very good employee. Talent, I have no control over. Either you like it or you don't. But I do know that
This is what you two need.
These are mic drop moments.
No, but I do.
Talent
yeah.
you have no control over. You either like it or you don't.
Yeah.
But you have to have a work ethic. I think that's what we could be missing.
Yeah, and
could
it does
be.
come. It comes. I think a little bit more from gratefulness than it does with joy. I've always felt how lucky I am to be in this role, even in high school, and then every job after, I feel this overwhelming gratefulness that I can't believe I'm still doing what I love and what I've always wanted to do, and that sort of transcends into sort of me behaving back to my clown self. That I go to people who have been working in this industry for so long, and naively I would go up to them and go, can you believe we get to still do this? This is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And
It's like camp.
and then exactly, and then also comes out of, then therefore I act a fool on set. I make sure people are laughing, having a good time, and then when we need to focus, we need to focus. So I think that's where that gratefulness sort of transcends. And again, when I wasn't working and when I was auditioning, anytime that I get an audition, it felt like work. It felt like I was going into a rehearsal.
A little performance.
Yeah, that I'm clocking in, and whether they like it or don't, it was my opportunity to act again. And so then, therefore, it felt more like a rehearsal, less than a job interview. And so, again, I think that's where gratefulness comes in. And, again, it really is a mental daily game. I mean, we are our own worst enemy and our own biggest fan at the same time. We are referee, we are players, and we're the audience, right? So we can give ourselves a red card, but we can still stay in the game. Like those are the rules that we set for ourselves.
You set them, yeah.
So either you're the positive coach or the referee that's giving yourself the red card, and we have that decision day by day, minute by minute. And again, when you have that sort of mentality, you bring it into the room. The life that you lived before is what you are bringing to the room. And when I have the opportunity to teach, I tell the students that, where it's like, let's not try to hustle to get the job. Let's try to hustle to live a life. And once you live that life, your version of Billy is going to be different from my Billy, based on the life that we've lived.
Yeah.
And we have no control of what happens after that.
I want to just say the amount of moaning over here, the amount of.
Well, I feel like
I know you're enjoying
sponge.
it. I get it. I can feel you
mind-blowing.
soaking it
Soaking
in, but
it
it's just
so
nonstop
much.
moaning, and I've had it.
Wow.
So make an audible. Yeah, hey, that's great. As opposed to.
I don't want to. I want to hear what he's saying.
I
so-
get it, and
No,
I'm.
you've said that to me many times when we go out to eat. Like but I add dancing. I add dancing
Oh, thank
to my
you. So
moan.
she
Yeah.
moans when you go out to eat?
I moan when I go
Oh.
out to eat, and she tells me that all the
I
time.
say
and just
stop
like-
moaning.
Exactly.
If
all
you
the
want
time.
to, if
The
you want to
moan,
out loud
please.
say
With the
this is
lasagna, I'm like,
delicious. Fine.
And she was like, you got to tone it down. So
Tone
I
it
understand
down.
her. I understand her.
Okay.
How do you
Thank
two know each other again?
Well, I actually was a chef at a restaurant that he frequented.
That's right.
And he loved, everything I made. And then so I would start sneaking him
Compliments of the chef.
compliment specialties.
Mhm.
And that led to a relationship where about once a month we head out and we try out different restaurants all around LA together.
Oh, and it would be thematic too.
Yeah.
Burritos was January.
January.
Obviously,
We try
lasagna
all-
was February.
So
Yeah.
you're not here
And so
because you owe Paula something. You're here just because you formed this foodie friendship.
I thought there was a kitchen here, so I thought like there was food prepped.
I did
However-
act like there might be.
Exactly. I actually thought we were going to a restaurant, but I'm here. So
I do what
it's
I have-
it's
I
great
do
to
what I
meet
have
you.
to do.
Wow.
to get
Well,
out.
sorry about that.
Oh no, it's all
No,
good. It's
see,
all
he's
good.
gonna make
kind
the
of a little
best.
staring me away, but I'm here.
It's
so
good.
it's good.
I made it happen. As a producer, you got to make it happen.
That's
We
right.
think we
Even
have,
if you
like,
have to lie.
Maybe a piece of fruit leather
Oh,
in the other
great.
room.
Yeah,
for
you
you
might
to
have
gnaw
that.
on.
I've been dying to ask this.
Yeah.
What did you audition with for your high school performing arts? Wow. Do you remember that?
What a question. I do remember I do remember that I remember doing a play in sleepaway camp called Rumors by Neil Simon.
Oh,
Oh.
yeah.
And there was just like this
Shame on.
monologue. There's this monologue at the end where there's a dead body up in the a comedy of errors.
Yeah,
Sure.
sure.
Like there's a dead body up there, and they're trying to figure out who's this dead body, where is it coming, and they're like sort of elitist people of coming to a dinner party with.
sounds like my
tuxedos. Exactly. Yeah, I can tell. But like tuxedos and all that stuff. And then at the end, he has to act like the real like the person dead upstairs to talk to the cops, saying like there's nothing to be worried
I
about. So he
remember this, yeah.
comes up with this elaborate story of how he got to this point. So that was that got a great response.
Yeah.
And so
They didn't
I
expect
kind
a
of
kid
really
to come
stuck
and
with
do that. Yeah.
And then the song I would always go to because I loved Frank Sinatra's version of it was Old Devil Moon from Finian's Rainbow.
Oh.
And basically and it wasn't even musical theater as much. It was like crooning kind of thing that
Can
gave
we
her.
hear a taste?
Yeah, just a
Oh
tiny
God,
taste.
I can't.
A tiny
I won't.
taste.
Because
I
I don't
I
know
won't.
it.
I'm sorry.
I wish
can't.
I knew it. I'd sing it if I knew it.
Is it,
Right,
does
right,
it
right.
fly me to the moon?
No,
Fly me to
it's
the
different.
devil's moon.
That's
it's
right.
different.
Yeah. A little mix there. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
There
yeah.
you go.
All right.
I know. Start spreading the news.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
very different.
Well, I just know
heard
that
you
from
say
Frank
that you
Sinatra.
performed The Elephant Man. Now,
Yeah.
this I don't know a ton about, but I believe it's about a man with a horrible facial deformity.
Yeah. It's called elephantiasis. I mean, it's right.
Real?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
real.
Oh, very, very
it's real.
I mean, it was a real case. And I remember in the, the way that my high school teacher directed it was me standing just as David. And then they would show the head to toe photo of this man who's really, his head was basically this big in deformity. And then his arms were a little extra long and his fingers looked like a seal almost. And it was really a tragic study.
Yeah.
And then little by little, as my friend, who's still my friend today, Andrew Rosenberg, who played the doctor, would start talking about his deformities, then I would form into the Elephant Man from there and then stay at the play and kind of do that, kind
Wow.
of do that whole
Yikes.
thing.
Wow,
you know.
that's some heavy stuff for a little.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I can do it now without like a trainer and a chiropractor.
Mhm.
But when you're a senior in high school, they're
Exactly.
just
Yeah,
like,
you can
don't
do
feel
anything.
Exactly, you don't even feel that.
Yeah.
So yeah, but
Wow.
it was one of those.
You've had so many
No.
experiences, and then you're on set with Kathy Bates.
Absolutely.
The legend.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And Jason Ritter,
Yeah.
And Jason Ritter, too.
Yeah.
My
who
God.
his father was just kind of an icon to people my age because we used to watch,
I
Three's
feel like
Yeah, Three's Company.
John Ritter was the OG Jim Carrey a little
That's
bit.
what I was
Sure.
going to say.
Yeah,
Wow.
throwing
Yeah.
himself
yeah,
around.
I would agree. I would
Yeah.
agree with that.
A
You
little
know,
bit. Mhm.
and Jason would say that the things that we see his father do brilliantly and Three's Company would be the things that he's doing with his kids. And he would bring a lot of the inside jokes that they have in the family and friends, and he would bring it onto the stage, which I think is such a beautiful thing.
Being playful from his heart.
Absolutely.
Now, I
Absolutely.
did go onto your Instagram,
Okay.
and I have to say, you have the cutest child that I
Thank
might
you.
have been able to see ever in my
Thank
life.
you.
Really?
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's all her mom. I wanted exactly what her mom looked like.
Well,
and that's
she's
exactly
gorgeous,
what I got. Thank
but
you.
you know, you're in there too.
I didn't even know he had a kid. It's when we go out to dinner,
Right.
I always say, I don't want to know anything personal. I
You-
like to keep it.
You were always there. My wife's name is Catherine, just to let you know. But
No.
but it's been 11 years since we've been married. But
Yeah.
she
I
still
don't
is
wanna know.
wondering. Yeah, you really don't want to
I
know,
don't
which
like
is
to
okay.
I don't like to get too deep.
Right.
What do
Yeah.
you talk about? Sports?
Yeah, sports or just the food we're eating. There's
That's
lots,
right.
plenty to talk about with the
Sports
flavors.
and food.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, my daughter is the CEO of our life,
Yeah.
as you can imagine, and it's and we have another one on the way.
Oh,
Yeah,
congratulations.
thank you. And so I will be a one-man band with all girls. I'll
Wow.
be a girl dad. Even our dog's a girl. So I definitely am a one-man band. So
One-man
it's
girl dad.
it's a great thing. I mean, like, this was the first job. Matlock was the first job that I had that I felt like, all right, honey, I'm leaving for work and
Right.
be here with the kid and all that stuff and coming home and all that stuff. But, the perspective that I get as a father who is an actor, and again, it's the whole gratefulness thing coming back, which is my schedule as an actor. I have a day off, maybe 2 days or even 1 day a week, and then we have the crew, the producers, the creative team who have a big family who are there 24/7 every day. So that kind of really makes me work harder, and I've worked harder than I ever have. Not because I'm like, oh, I have a kid, but because, oh, I have a kid, but for schedule wise, like I'm going to make sure I'm not going to study lines at home, which was never something that I ever did. I always go at home and I'm always in the office and I'm always like just really running the scenes over and over again. But now I'm doing that on set all day, like studying the
That's
whole
a lot
script.
of words that you have to know.
Sure,
this is something
sure.
when we hope to break into the business, but I'm not confident that we'd ever be able to keep these.
You
words
can't
in our
remember
head.
anything.
No. And we,
Do you have some sort of trick?
I was going to ask the same thing.
Yeah,
How do you do it?
I think first of all, just lines are a drag, man. I mean,
Okay, good. Thanks for saying that.
Yeah, they're a
Thanks for your
drag.
honesty.
They're tough, and even I even worry on the day and set when I do one sentences, like because then you're kind of just thinking, I
That's
hope I
even
just
worse.
nail this one sentence,
Yeah.
Right.
But and I hate to make it sound like simple. However, reading the script over and over again, and I'm talking about an exuberant amount, right? So if you feel like you're doing it too much, you got to do more, I think, and that's what and getting that sort of in your body, you can kind of then really go down to the minutia of the period, the comma, the colon, and
Yikes.
why it's there, and all that stuff, and then you kind of bring it in. And again, there are times that you just are tired and you come to set and you go, let me just rely on listening. Let me rely on and just hope that it comes out truthful and hope that it comes out correct. You know what I mean?
And if the writing's good, it's easier, isn't it? Like if the scene makes sense, if it makes sense, the actor's response to something, then it might be easier to remember than if something's kind of out of the blue or doesn't make that much sense.
Well,
or
you want
does
to
that
get
ever help?
you want to get to a point where you're not thinking about it, and that's kind of an impossible task sometimes, And so I really try to get to the point of just staying out of my head. That's the
key.
That's the work that's happening in front of everybody, in front of a camera. I'm just
We've never
I'm
been
really
on a
just
set
trying to
before,
be
so-
really in the moment.
Do you
there.
kind of just have to get across the gist of it, or do you have to say actually the words that have been written for your character?
It definitely not in this show, definitely not
Okay.
in this show. Jenny Erman of Jane the Virgin and this recent version of Charmed, and I remember someone telling me on Instagram, like, someone bring Tommy Schlamme and Aaron Sorkin because Matlock reminds them of this sort of West Wing sort of speed. And the only time I would clap back on somebody, it was like, don't worry, we got Jenny Erman, because her words have this speed and she also worked on the Gilmore Girls too.
I was gonna say that's the fastest talking show in the
Ever.
West.
Absolutely, and she would tell me 90 pages for for an hour show. So that's half an hour to try to clear up with speed, and so she knows what she's doing. And so so when you're working with her words, you're also trying to work with the speed in which she wants it.
Yeah.
And
if you don't get it, is it like, again?
If you don't get it, it comes with an exuberant amount of apologies from my end. And then they're like, no, you got it. Don't worry. And then, again, you have to get out of your own head saying, I got to be my coach. I can't be my referee.
Critic.
Right.
I can't be my critic.
Yeah.
Right.
And
You're doing
so,
great. You'll get it next time.
And we'll
Keep
get
going.
it. And we'll get it. And so you kind of really have to exercise that as much as you can and really trust that when the director says they got it, I will shut up. And then just like, all right, you got it.
Okay.
Let's move
I'm going
on
to
then.
believe it.
Let's
I'm
move
going to
on.
believe you.
Yeah, because
What about Kathy Bates? Is she a one
That's what I was
take
gonna ask,
one take
yeah.
lady?
she's unbelievable. I mean, she gets it in a way that here's the thing. She comes in with homework that is written on the page from like it's pen and pencil from the top of the page to the bottom.
Holy moly.
Oh, it's unbelievable. And she would circle, Maddie reaches for this cup, and she will make a whole journal entry of why that is. And I'm not shitting you. Excuse me.
Wow.
But it's like the neighborhood playhouse OG type of things that they would teach us in school. But I think people in my generation, the generation below me, after me, is just trying to get on set, stand on the mark, and just trying to make it as truthful and entertaining as
Yes.
possible. And that's not how we were taught in school. How we were taught in school is moment before.
Yeah, why did you do
are
that?
Who, what, where,
Why?
why then? And really investigating into those things. And so she really inspired me to bring that back into my work. And the thing is that it's if Kathy gets it right all the time, but when she gets it right, it's like, well, there it is. The scene's done, and she really, as you guys know, she says a million things without saying anything with just a look. And that comes from her work, and I remember there was one episode with the director, Marie, we were just standing above Kathy while she's writing, and we're just waiting, and the crew's ready to shoot the scene. But we do not want to interrupt that flow, and so we were just waiting, and it took about, I would say it took about 2.5 to 3 minutes to get her attention. That felt like 15, and then she's writing, and I'm trying to cheat and trying to look off her paper, and she looks up and she goes, "Oh my God, I didn't know you guys were looking at it." And we're like, take your time. You are the quarterback. We are here for you. And because you are the reason for the season, for sure.
For sure.
She is.
No,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
said. Sorry, go ahead.
My question, no one's going to like my question, but should I ask it?
I guess.
I guess if you need it.
You've been named Ben twice in 2 different shows. Are you aware of that? You were named Ben in Maggie,
Yeah.
and you were named Ben in something else.
Okay.
Oh, Doctor, the Doctor one.
Is it The Good Doctor?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that? Do you say, hey, I've already been him. I've already been a Ben, or
Boy.
you just
You're
you don't.
typecast as Ben.
Yeah.
I just saw it and I said, "Are those connected?" And I said, "No, they're not connected."
You're right.
Someone just named him Ben twice.
Kind of a stupid question.
Yeah.
Well,
I have some interesting questions.
Oh, nobody wants. Okay, I guess we're not going to talk about
First
it.
of all, my son and I used to watch The Good Doctor a lot.
Yeah.
There was a lot of tumors always discovered.
Mm.
And there was one episode where there was a tumor that was the size of the entire gurney.
Wow.
Which was crazy.
Mm.
My question is about to cross-reference the fact that you're here and yesterday you were on the Jennifer Hudson show.
Mm.
I have watched her show. She has the most dulcet, her voice when she interviews you. She's just doing an interview, and it's like the most incredible voice.
Is
Did
this
you notice
connected
it?
at all to the tumor on the gurney? This is unrelated.
Unrelated to the tumor, related to the fact that we are also hosts, but none of us have Jennifer's voice.
Okay, and also not related
related
to
to
the Good
Ben.
Doctor.
No, but The Good Doctor was just a show I enjoy with my son, and television brings people together.
Well, I'm
Absolutely
just
it
trying
does.
to connect the dots on where you're going here.
The
You just wanna-
connective tissue is life.
Okay, great.
I'm going to take that, by the way.
Yeah,
The
good.
connective tissue is life. Moving on,
Moving
right?
on.
Moving on the Jennifer Hudson show.
Yeah.
You danced.
Well, I did. I mean, us as a cast, we dance a lot. And again, like I was saying earlier, you want to bring that sort of festive energy
Fun.
to the work.
Whose idea
you know?
was that? I have a feeling it was you. 'cause
I
you're a
think it
dancer.
just organically basically happens.
Someone
you know what I
press
mean?
play.
Someone put music on. Though,
I
and
see
that's
what you're
that
saying.
has to start
it is
somewhere.
Me. It is.
Yeah.
It is. And Sky P. Marshall as well. Like, and Jason Ritter. Like once we all feel, and by the way, Jason is the one who's putting himself out there, dancing to the Matlock theme over and over and over on his TikTok. He's got multiple videos for which I
gotta
kind of
look
have
up.
to credit a lot of the audience watching because of those TikTok videos
I think
for
we
sure.
gotta
dance to
watch
the
that.
Matlock
Oh, it's
theme.
incredible. It really is. It really is incredible.
Yeah.
But yeah, I the dancing starts with us for sure. All three of us, I think.
But I feel like you've been on Broadway. Yes. You're
Yeah.
probably
In the
the
Heights.
best dancer.
Mhm. Well, I mean, what I always say is, being a Colombian and Cuban, I think there's rhythm inherently in the body of how we move and how we speak. And we used to have parties with the family every weekend at someone else's house, playing the same salsa music. We have the same dance partners with grandmas and tias and all that stuff. And that was really part of my rhythm, And again, when you're doing dance, and that's the other thing. So I've done a couple of musical things on screen. And I wouldn't really consider myself like, a musical actor. I just think that when I get cast in it and when I get the job, studying music and studying choreography is the same thing as studying lines. Really just trying to get your brain and body to do the same thing so it really does become second nature. You
It's
kind
like
of
this. Remember this whole thing?
exactly.
Wait,
You kind
I
of
don't even know
use
if I can do it
that's
anymore.
it. You did it, yeah.
Okay, there we
and
go.
it's so
You did
it's
it.
like you kind of get into those portals of your brain and in your instrument to study in that way. But back to the Jennifer Hudson thing, her knack of really looking you in the eye and really having interest in the process and interest in the show and it's like we should be interviewing you,
Yeah,
not the other way
voice is
around.
just
Yeah,
so
and it's
interesting.
so amazing, And so she's got really this personable thing, and again, my experience with her was very interviewee and all that stuff, but she really made us feel at home, and it really is a great crew over there at the Jennifer Hudson
It
show. They
seems
really
like
make
it.
they really make you feel like this is going to be a fun experience, and it really was.
But
I've
they
had
don't
some-
take you out to pasta, so
That's right.
Sometimes I've met people who make such intense eye contact. I get very uncomfortable.
That's because you have stuff to hide deep in your soul.
Maybe.
I think so.
Maybe.
It makes me. I think it makes me uncomfortable too. Like there's someone that I know that would talk to me like this close, and I don't have the confidence to. I'm like a people
hold it,
pleaser.
yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
if we're gonna kiss, we're gonna kiss.
I
It's
know.
fine. I've accepted my fate at this point.
Right.
And as opposed to like, could you back up? So I haven't gotten to that sort of confidence there, but yeah, I think. My dad always used to say when we would go to people's houses, he would park the car, he would look at his kids, and he would go, especially family functions, he would say, look everybody in the eye and make them feel important. And that, as kids, got us to do the round of hi grandma, hi grandma, like hi everybody, and then we can go play. But
And then I'm sure everyone loved you too.
well, that would really stick.
Make
that
them
really
feel
stuck.
important. That's nice because then you're not walking and thinking about yourself. You're not thinking, how are people perceiving me? What are they thinking of me? Instead, you go in and you go, I'm going to make you feel good. I don't need to think about myself.
Especially today, right?
Yeah.
Like the term selfie
Yeah.
is exactly
all about
that.
you.
It's not a picture. A selfie is a frame of mind,
Yeah.
I think, for a lot of people.
Wow.
And so when we live in a world where we only want or think that we're showing the best of ourselves and letting people know that is our life, that can really be crutching.
Yeah.
And I think that if more people listen with the intent to understand, more with listening to the intent of responding, we could fix a lot of things. I
Wow.
think.
The amount of life lessons. I mean, I wish. Good thing this is being recorded. No, I'm serious.
You want to go back and listen.
Yeah, because it's not only for acting and for your craft and for whatever work you have. It's how to be a human who's fully encapsulating this life experience.
Well, and when you go in, when you try to audition for things,
It's all about me.
it's
I'm
all
not-
about you, and you're like, well,
Yeah.
give
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
I need these
Yeah.
things because she just want and honestly, you're not coming at it for the right reasons. You're not coming at it like him with gratitude and joy. You're coming
No,
at it like
desperate.
desperation and give me.
Right.
That never goes away, though. That never goes away.
A little bit of desperation.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean,
right.
we're
But you mask it, right? You cover it up. How do you do it?
I mean, we're all there. We're all there for the same reason. But I think the mindset should be that the people who are watching me want me to get the job as much as I do. And even if you don't feel it in that room, and there have been very rude casting directors in my life. However,
Wow.
I had the privilege in interning for a casting agency while I was in college, and this was the kind of casting agency called Mackie Sanders Casting. Amanda Mackie and Kathy Sanders Gelfond, they back in 2007, 2008, and 2009, this was the moment where movies were still amazing, you know. So they didn't do films. Their rule was 20 million or lower we don't do.
Whoa.
And those are the movies that I worked on. I worked on P.S. I Love You. I worked on a Matt Damon movie called Green Zone. I worked on 27 Dresses.
How
I worked,
cool.
and it was and I worked on this very underrated movie called What Just Happened, directed by Barry Levinson. De Niro, Stanley Tucci,
Heavy
John
hitters.
Turturro, Bruce Willis, Robin Wright, like all these actors. And I remember getting the promotion after about a year and a half being on the desk to record. And I was just like, okay, now this is what it's all. This is what it's all
getting
about.
to watch it.
And I really realized, especially with such giving casting directors like Amanda Mackie and Kathy Sanders Gelfond, they really, really say, I hope this is the one. I hope this is the one, more than what actors are saying, I hope I get it. I hope I get it. And so
They're rooting. They're rooting for the actors.
They really are.
Yeah.
Because here's the other thing of the structure of the business, right? They have a quota.
Right.
What their job is to bring the top 4, so then the directors and the producers can say, they always bring us really good people.
Yeah, we're not worried
You know
about
what I
it
mean?
when they
So
do it. Yeah.
that in itself is selfie to them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're all playing the same game.
Right.
I'm trying to book the job. I'm trying to be on that list of people that you bring back over and over and over again, because I want to represent you as a good casting agent. You know, and the casting is like, I want to continue to bring the goods to
so
my
they
bosses.
keep using me for
So it
this.
really is a cycle of everybody really is doing it for themselves. However, the mentality is, you know, when you're doing it for the work first, then, you know, then everything kind of sort of, yeah, I mean, it doesn't go away.
Yeah.
I mean, like, listen, my dad again would always say when a bowling ball would hit your toe, you say ouch. When you don't get a roll, it hurts. You're doing yourself a disservice. You're like, I'm okay. I'm okay.
Right.
We're good.
It's okay to be
Yeah, we're
sad.
good.
It's
Yeah.
okay to be sad.
It's
Yeah.
absolutely sad.
Lick your wounds and get back up there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think it's necessary to feel like you're a failure, even though you're not. Like it's necessary to sort of have that feeling. And so, but what I tell students sometimes is that when you get to understand that the rules of the game is no until you get a yes, and when you get a no, you understand it's the rule of the game. When people mess up, again, the selfie version of it is that they think it's only happening to them. And when they think that it's only happening to them, they'll never survive, right? And so the next job will come. The next audition will come, and then I kind of really concentrated on, did I feel good about that audition, whether I booked it or not?
That's what you have control
You know what I mean?
over.
Exactly.
How do you feel about
exactly.
it?
Because
And so-
really, one person gets cast. So actually, if you don't get cast, you're in the majority.
That's
you're
right.
with all those other people.
Yeah.
And of course, we
And
don't
great
feel
people.
that way,
No,
right?
you
Of
feel like
course.
you're alone.
That's
on
right.
An
That's right.
outcast.
That's right.
If you can believe it, it's that time.
I cannot believe it.
We're there. We got to start wrapping up. But I mean, we've gotten so many bombs
Yes,
of knowledge,
of
but we
advice.
still need to ask our favorite question when we end, which is
Please.
that, you know, what would you say to someone coming out here, say a young
David.
David,
Yeah.
maybe coming out, trying to make it, trying to pursue their dreams? What would your advice be?
You know, I say that validation comes from you first, because then if you're going to be looking for validation other places, you're going to be very disappointed. It's about when you are talking to your comrade at the bar, who's another actor, and someone asks you, how are you? And if your response is, good, my episode of Law & Order SVU airs tonight, you're not answering how you are. You're not answering how are you.
Right.
You're answering what I'm doing.
What is your work?
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I would just say that self-validation in the no's and the yeses are really the thing that you just need to start collecting yourself. We are all experts in ourselves. So we should be an expert when we feel like we're not doing well.
Right.
We know this feeling. I know what this feeling is. I can recognize it. Not to push it away as fast, you know, not to ignore it, but to understand, to know that it's there. Because when we have that moment of lowness, you feel alone. Therefore, you feel like it's only happening to you. And you know, that's the thing that I would say. In short, I would say that for actors, no is part of the game.
I like
no
that
is
a lot.
really, really part of the game. In fact, it's the rule. It's one of the rules of the game. And I can always say, oh, well, it happens to everybody. Like you said, you're part of the majority.
Right.
But it's hard for somebody to understand that because they can give a shit about anybody else but themselves. And so what I would say is that if you understand and if you say it's a rule and I'm in it to win it, and I know that there are people like, let's say, Kathy, who got discovered by William Goldman in the Broadway stage of Frankie and Johnny and the Claire de Lune. And William Goldman asked Rob Reiner to come see her and cast her in her first movie that happened to be Misery. There's that story. But then there's also the Morgan Freeman story, where he didn't get his first job until 41 years old. John Hamm, Melissa McCarthy. All these people have their story of like a calendar.
How it
worked out, right? And so you can have the break or you can have the break later. And by the way, what is a break?
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
I consider my break John Merrick and Elephant Man. That was my break.
Wow.
You know, that's what I consider my break to be.
Yeah.
And every show that I do that doesn't get picked up for a second season and fail, I am very proud of them.
Yeah.
And, you know, and don't worry, work will beget work.
Yeah.
And I'm so sorry to continue this on
Are
this
you
on this
kidding?
thing,
This
but
is
we love it.
gold.
We're soaking it in.
But I will say, look at the amount of distribution we have in the world that we are in today. YouTube being a huge source. Be in a short, you know, be in the crew, you know, be involved as much as you can. I was talking to someone yesterday and they were just like, I just needed a job in the industry. In fact, she's a co-executive producer of Matlock. And she was just like, I needed to be in the industry. So I worked for a temp agency, $500 a week in the and on a desk with no windows. But she was in it.
Yeah.
And by the way, I could have been, and I would have been just as happy being a casting director for the rest of my life if that's where it was going to take me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was ready to just kind of
be surrounded.
just to be surrounded by it. And so, you know, no's are the rules. And with so much distribution, what's important is that you're seen.
Yeah.
And you'll never know.
Just get in the game.
Yeah.
Wow.
Let's, I don't even, we're all silent and we're all going to have to soak this in.
We're sponges who
We're
are
sponges.
fully, completely filled.
So we're filled.
Oh, no, thank you. I always love talking about it, so thank you so
I
much.
would just
Love it.
drench this whole chair.
We want to thank David, and we want to let our Patreon listeners and viewers know that there's
we're
going to be a special
we're
5
chit chat with
minutes.
him. We're gonna chit chat with him real quickly after this, and only for Patreon.
Yeah.
All right, let's give it up for David Del Rio.
Thank you, David Del Rio.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Right? Our business is about survival.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And again, it's about survival even with the people of the A-list, right? And I'm not, I say this as an example.
Multiple Talking Women is produced and hosted by Ariane Price, Lauren Burns, and Lisa Shurga. Subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on all podcast platforms, and become a member of our Patreon. All right, am I done?